And we're live. Finally. Yep, alright, we got it. How's it going, people? Pop out the chat here. Move this over here, get a little tunes going, because that's what we usually do. Alright, how's it going, people? Mod, random black hair dude, CAD, design spirit. How's it going? Yix? Where is it? Where's my usual? How is that staying on the stream? All right. How's it going, people? There we go. We're all set up. We're all finally free. I was given several last-minute tasks than I intended to get before stream. Beninja, Guardian, Fandom, Big, Mohammed. How's it going, everyone? Brandon, how's it going? So, what are we doing today? Well, first we're gonna let people pop into the stream. Give it a minute to get started and stuff. But the game plan today is I've been tricking you this entire time. Whatchamacallit? Yeah, I try to read up the chat and there's too much. Bad morning to me. Well, you know what, CMA nerd Harris, you're a Charizard fan, so yeah. Took 3 unskippable ads, but I'm here. Damn, that's a fuck ton. I don't see that many ads. What's up, Masoji? What's up, Axolotl guy? Yeah, so today I've been tricking you. So, if you are paying attention in my community polls, I have been posting community polls. Don't play music. And what I've been doing is I've been asking you guys questions about the anime, and you guys have been giving me responses. And today, I'm gonna go over those responses and tell you guys why you're wrong for your decisions. No, it's not gonna be that mean. It's more of a, I'd love to discuss, we're gonna discuss these and stuff. Obviously, there are a ton of comments on these that don't follow the, norm of like that a lot of the comments are not the majority of who won or who lost on these polls, but we're gonna talk about them anyways. But none of this stuff I've been asking, by the way, pertains to the ATR at all. None of it has been like, you know, we're gonna do something like this or we're gonna do that, you know. That's why I'm a Typhlosion fan, Harris. Bro streams every time Wolfie uploads. Hey, have you guys ever seen me and Wolfie Glick in the same room? I'm just saying. What's up, Axo? Dynaloom, Spinel, Triangle. Conversation's cool, bro, even when we disagree, especially when we disagree. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm not... there's... Funny enough, so the way I structured these polls, it didn't start out like this. It started with a question. But no, Splatter, we just started. We're not even, like, a minute into this shit. I did polls, one for engagement, one for curiosity. It didn't start like that. It started with this bad boy right here, which was, do you think Chimchar... the Chimchar plotline... You know, does it make Sinnoh? Like, would Sinnoh be worse if the Chimchar plotline was there? And what we're doing here today is this isn't to look at everyone who said, like, yes, or or everyone who said no is wrong. It's like none of these are wrong answers, you know. It's more of like, I want to talk to you guys about the mentality of certain things. You know, I'm going to get on my pretentious high horse and say some things, because one thing I didn't do in these polls is I didn't put a lot of details, and that was on purpose. Well, there's also a character limit, but it was more about the idea of, how do you guys think, for all you writers out there, whether you're writing a Pokemon story, well, it's mostly in the vein of Pokemon stories, whether you're doing YouTube fan fiction, but it goes to writing in general, is that sort of, what's your mentality when you're thinking of stuff? The one I actually want to start with, we're not going to do these in order, because the Chimchar one is a big one. We're going to start with one which I think is the cleanest, but like, I think there are like right answers and wrong answers, but doing that. You get Ash the Komo-o? No, I didn't. Oh, I got a notification for my own channel on my phone for some reason. What's up, Quiznos? So I posed a question to you guys, which is basically, if you could give, of these 4 Ash grass starters, if one of them had an overgrow ability on the level of Chimchar's Blaze, which one would you give it to? I also tacked on who needs it the most, out of curiosity. Now, as we can see here, Sceptile is the clear winner here. 69, funny, people thought Sceptile, which isn't wrong. You know, it's not wrong, but like, you know, because none of the polls I posted had a wrong answer, because they were all opinion-based. So it was merely what you preference. But so for me, for my own personal choice, I would have given it to Snivy. And simply because, there's a reason, by the way, Torterra wasn't on this list. Torterra wasn't on the list because if Torterra had an overgrow ability on the level of Infernape's Blaze, that's both Infernate Blaze and Torterra overgrow happening at the same time, which is weird. It doesn't really, like, work in a story like that. Putting a hat on a hat. But, you know, and by the way, this is not even thinking of like, well, they didn't introduce abilities until Gen 3. I don't care. But so the mentality of the Sceptile, it's tough. The Sceptile choice. There's not too many factors that go into it. Sceptile's cool. He's a fan favorite. He's fully evolved and super strong. But, the question I always thought of is, does Sceptile need it though? Because it's sort of like, in my mind, Sceptile getting this overpowered growth, or this overpowered overgrowth, is sort of like a hat on a hat. Like, Sceptile doesn't need overgrowth to be cool. He already has a natural overgrowth ability, but he doesn't need like a Blaze level 1. Which is sort of like my thought process on it. It's like, it doesn't really add anything to Sceptile's character. It's really just like, we're taking the cool guy and we're giving him more cool stuff. Not wrong, but it's not the way I think of things. And part of this is sort of giving you guys an insight on how I think. And it's also to open up your own minds, because there's one of these questions which we'll go over next where I wanted to point out certain things, you know, of just because I think with a lot of people when they're doing choices, they think in terms of writing like you're writing for the anime. And I think like that's not the mentality you should have when you're doing your own series. If you want to, you're fine to. You can. It's a thing. But like, I remember when I was talking about Pokemon moves for certain Pokemon, even early on when I did my first video, people wrote that, I forget who, I think it was probably Rhydon or something. Like, Rhydon couldn't have Earthquake because the anime doesn't use Earthquake. And it's one of those things where I think that's a very prevalent mentality of like, well, you can't do this. The anime did this and stuff, or the anime says you can't do this and all that. And I think, not to toot my own horn, I'm just based on comments, I have done a good enough job to keep a spirit of a Kanto anime in my rewrite. And I don't follow the anime rules at all. Now, there's, again, no wrong answer. I think Bulbasaur is pretty strong in his own. Overgrowth would just kind of magnify that. It's not a wrong choice. It's a solid choice and all that. You could use it in a weird, like, from a writing perspective, say abilities were in Gen 1. You could use it from a perspective of maybe channeling that evolution energy he rejected in the Ivysaur Venusaur episode into his ability to, like, power him up, maybe. Maybe it's that he thinks he doesn't need to evolve because, one, he just doesn't want to, but also because, you know, he feels stronger with the, he just needs the overgrowth. You know, he doesn't need evolution to make himself stronger. Bayleaf, you could say, you could connect it to her crush on Ash. Her love for Ash helps, you know, like a La Brava My Hero style. She gets stronger because she wants to win for Ash, and that's kind of connected. Her feelings are connected to her overgrowth ability that make it abnormally strong. It's not trying to give reasons. Sceptile's just cool. He could just have an overpowered overgrowth. The reason I go Snivy is because Snivy has this entire story arc when she's first introduced about rejecting trainers because they're not good enough for her. And I think, yes, she's an experienced Pokemon. She has, like, Leaf Storm and Leaf Blade and all these, like, moves that, like, a level 5 Snivy would not have. But, like, adding on an overgrowth ability to that, I think helps magnify that problem and shows a clear difference maker. Now, also in my head, by the way, when I discuss these things, these ideas of the overgrowth ability, I don't discuss whether this Pokemon would evolve or not. In my personal opinion, I would have Snivy evolve all the way to Superior. Same with Bayleaf to Meganium. I would even have Bulbasaur evolve into Venusaur, you know? You guys know me. I like evolution, so it's not a, it is not something I shirk away from. But it is something. 53 viewers. Holy shit, you guys are fucking awesome. I'm gonna go over some comments here and all that, but like, yeah, like, Sceptile beat Darkrai and matched Deoxys. Sceptile beat Darkrai with help. I think we forget that. I would give it to Bulbasaur, though he's kind of too early for it. Yeah, exactly. So Random Blackhair, dude, you touched on a point. It is early for him, but it's more of a, it's less of a, let's change the anime and make this a thing, and more of a, if we could do it, which would happen. That's your favorite, Ash Grassmon, Snivy? That's a great one, Riley. Did Infernape need Blaze? Yes, I think Infernape did need Blaze. Otherwise, he would have just been a jobber. But also, I'm going to go over Infernape and his entire Sinnoh storyline, because I think Sinnoh's in a new era where people are actually taking a critical eye to Sinnoh and not letting it just skirt by because it has really good stuff in it. Bulbasaur and Bayleaf are pretty strong for their evolution stages in original canon. They benefit more from evolution really in response to necessary instead of want. Yeah, or necessity instead of want. Yes, exactly. Since it only got banned to Gen 3 and Gen 1 was allowed. But yeah, well, it's kind of my point, Fandom Tarek, is that, you know, literally, you know, people have the mentality of the anime forbade this, so you're not allowed to do this, which we're all writers here, or I'm a writer, aspiring writers out there. Like, when you're writing your series, you don't have to follow the rules of the anime. Like, there are certain rules maybe you, like, can establish yourself. Like, I don't do custom stuff. That's kind of one of my mentalities of, like, I'm not going to make a custom evolution for a Pokemon or a custom Mega Evolution that doesn't exist in the anime. I'll manipulate things within the anime, like Ninetales has Flash Fire. She can set herself on fire or something, or I'll mess around with the biology of Pokemons. But I won't ever go into, like, I guess, OC territory like that. You know, but that's not, yeah, that's just a personal rule. Snivy's overgrowth acting like a domain expansion would be funny. It sucked of Ash of Torterra as a Pokemon in that. Yeah, Torterra didn't do great. And also, you know what? Great point right there, Quiznos. Snivy has the attract gimmick. Bayleaf has nothing. That's also a valid point. Where that could shirk it to, hey, Bayleaf actually needs it more than Snivy. In which case, I'm wrong in that mentality. Well, nothing's ever wrong in an opinion-based poll, but you got it. What's up, Piking? Honestly, Ash's Gen 5 team is underbaked. It feels like the writer were rushed while creating Ash's team. It's kind of the weird part of the Gen 5 team is I would not, like, personality-wise, they're some of the best written. Like, they have some of the best personalities of any of Ash's teams. Just power-wise, they just were never given the time to rise to the occasion. But, like, it's sort of like, we know Sceptile has overgrowth, but does he need the OP Blaze overgrowth, you know? I think Sceptile would just do better if he just used his overgrowth ability more than twice, I think it was. Actually, without Infernape, they could focus on Torterra's ability to eat energy and let it affect his overgrowth ability. I've been saying overgrowth instead of overgrow. That was actually one thing I thought of for a while, is that, like, I thought it would be really cool if when Torterra discovered the ability to eat, or as a Grottle, he discovered the ability to eat an energy ball, it would act as sort of an artificial overgrowth, kind of matching Blaze close in power, but finding an alternate route to that that's a bit more, I guess you could call it artificial than a natural biological aspect. And you know, EX, you do raise also a point where your Sceptile is a chill dude, so a more controlled mellow Ogrowth fits hit instead of Infernape's Blaze as violent as he has a Crash Out. And that's also kind of an unsaid thing here. Would, like, Blaze turning Infernape into this rage monster makes a lot of sense. Fire, symbolism, all that, you know? It makes a lot of sense. How would an Overgrow ability affect a grass type if it was super overpowered? Would they become super emotional like Infernape, or would they become, like, super stoic and, like, eerie? Dolly isn't doing, yeah, I'm not doing Paldea. Once again, Sinnoh doesn't have much apart from its said story. Sinnoh lacks a certain identity lacks, but makes up for in other departments. Yeah, in a way. But the whatchamacallit, where's the next one? This is a more simpler one. This is the next poll we have is which water starter should evolve. Why Max is a better character than Bonnie? Two who ends in a fight. Well, I mean, Max doesn't have... If we're talking a physical fight, Max. If we're talking a Pokemon battle, Bonnie has a Pokemon and Max doesn't. So Bonnie would win by default. Why Max is a better character than Bonnie? I'll go over this real fast because I think it's an interesting point. Because Bonnie's character is just little girl, in my opinion. You know, and nothing I'm saying is factual. Everything's opinion-based. But I think it's fact. But, you know... But Max has a lot of facets to him, and I think people reduce him to annoying kid, but he has a lot of different interesting focal points about him. He's not constantly snarking at Ash, but even when he does, Ash gives it back to him. He has a nice relationship with May, where if you watch it advanced, it's on YouTube right now, you'll notice that when danger happens, May's always looking for Max. She's always trying to make sure her brother's okay. So you really kind of get a nice bond there where Max's little kidness is shown because he is younger. He doesn't have he's not the smart guy in the room who's just a smart little kid. He's you know, he has some different aspects to him. He wants to be a Pokemon trainer. He cares a lot about Pokemon, but he doesn't always get it right. You know, sometimes he doesn't understand. You could see it in the Roxanne episode where they went to the Pokemon school and Max wasn't like the best thinking with battle. Like he overthought everything and was a lot more defensive, which is like, you have a Poliwag versus a Magby. Just use Water Gun. You don't have to keep setting up belly drums or defense scrolls. Max shows a lot of potential and growth that I think just Bonnie lacks. Like, Bonnie is a very stagnant character in my mind, which is very one-note little girl, you know? Maybe I'm reducing Bonnie in the same way people reduce Max, but I'd rather watch a character like Max who will be a little bit confrontational, who can be a little bit annoying, than just happy-go-lucky little girl. Levania is definitely an underrated Pokemon. If I could recreate the Unova team, with one starter, you know, it's funny. I think of Ash's starters, in my heart of hearts, I know Oshawott is the best fit for him. However, there is the part of me that if I had to write it, I would go Snivy. I would give Ash superior, let's see. Scrafty. I'd keep Scrafty. I'd give him a Cincino. I think that would be fun. Haxorus and Volcarona would be fun. But Bulbasaur has Authority, Sceptile has the Aura, Snivy has Assassin's, Beyblade is just mellow and can be fun. That's and again, great point. Like I said, no wrong answers on this. It's more of a going on to the mentality of when you're writing. It's to make sure, sort of like when I post these polls, it's very easy to think, and it's like, it's not about telling you guys you have to look at everything with a critical eye, but it's more of like, hey, when you see something like this, maybe take a moment and think. Like, it's easy to go, I mean, it's just a poll, obviously, so it's not like a deep thinking thing, but it's sort of like, what's your initial reaction? And sort of like, will that change the more you think critically? But I need him to start roasting people. ATR is something kind of moody lately. I need ATRs to know someone for a minute and insult their life choices. Yeah, it will happen. Now, what would your explanation be for Infernape Blaze being specifically stronger? Something to do with the fire type organ in his body that produces the flames. It's sort of a genetic abnormality it's a stronger or a bigger organ in general. So he has more potent fire. And that kind of dials into his blaze, or something to do with his adrenaline glands, which the adrenaline triggers the blaze because when you're hit a lot, when you're low on health, the danger sense is rising, adrenaline surges through the body, the adrenaline triggers the blaze ability. So he has a stronger fight or flight like that translates directly into fight that soups him up to insane levels. So Samurot's anatomy isn't as much as a clusterfuck as you think. I used to think that as well, Spinel. And then I watched it battling, and it's like, oh, I can actually see it fight. Like, I don't usually give Ash Pokemon that I don't think can fight. It's like, Samurott can go on 2 legs, it can jump, it can move, it can do anything. So we'll move on to this question before I get to more of these. There's no wrong answer on this one as well, obviously. I think actually majority of people made the correct choice in Totodile. In my opinion, the correct choice. I do think Oshawott could evolve. I think Squirtle could evolve all the way to Wartortle, Blastoise, I mean, if people say, well, it's like, what about the Squirtle Squad? Well, then they're the Wartortle Warriors or the Blastoise Boys, Like, you could just change the name. It's just a name, So, like, him evolving doesn't ruin anything. Just have his buddies evolve with him, It's just, I treat evolution as a sign of growth and maturity. So, like, Squirtle can feasibly evolve, It's just people don't do it because the name Squirtle Squad, and also people are adverse to evolving Ash's Pokemon. Totodile has nothing. Like, Oshawott has his great personality. He has his scallop and stuff, and it's like, maybe he's never taken down Hydreigon, but, he can still put up a good fight. I do think if you were to evolve him, at least Dewott all the way to Samurott. The Totodile, though, Totodile is nothing. He's a jobber on the Johto Squad. If you watch it, maybe he has some wins in, like, a comedic way of, like, Kingdra in the water-type festival competition, where he, like, clamped down on her nose and it exploded like a cartoon, But, like, Totodile really has nothing compared to Cyndaquil and Bayleaf. He just comes out, he does this happy little dance, and that's really all he does. So an evolution to make him a more fierce fighter would definitely be something that would help him. And also, Ash could use the power on, like Ash needs power in Unova. He desperately needs power in Johto, though. Like, way more than Unova. Like, Unova, at least you have, like, Crocodile, Levani, and Palpitoad and Boldore. You at least have some semi-evolved Pokemon or fully evolved ones. But Totodile, I mean, the most evolved member on the Johto Squad is Noctowl, Totodile, especially if you think about this, if Totodile was a Feraligatr, Ash wouldn't need Kingdra and Snorlax for a Claire fight. He wouldn't have to get rid of the Johto Pokemon, and we have to bring back Kanto Pokemon to fight the Johto, 8th strongest, fucking gym leader. I'm gonna ask some questions because you guys are amazing. What's up, Aurelia? The Aurelia shipper has arrived. Yeah, so a starter ability is equal to adrenaline. Yeah, well, I think in my mind I try and attribute a lot of biological aspects to Pokemon to make sense of why they can do the things they can do. One of my favorites, I mean, when the Blaze, and because people underestimate Infernape's Blaze, it is a also a great way of thinking of that. Quiznos, Blaze is rageful, Overgrowth is more over the top, joyful, Torrent is more zen. That's a great way of putting that. You're not wrong, Breakfast. I mean, writing-wise, it's not like Snivy went many places, but as a character, she's one of the top tier, you know? Like, she has great personality, great interactions with the team. Like, she is definitely not a wrong choice. Like, I think Snivy just has some stiffer competition than the rest. Like, Bulbasaur is a solid Mon. I think I love Bulbasaur. He's probably my favorite. He is my favorite of the Kanto team. I would say Snivy, I like her personality and her stuff more than Bulbasaur's. I think she clears Torterra. And honestly, I would even possibly place her over Sceptile. I think the thing Sceptile has on her is evolutions, but like I think a cool guy attitude can only get you so far. Do you have any plans to do with Silent? Because I don't think Silent's a bad character. People just hate him because he replaced Brock and his deck type. No, Silent's a great character. I don't know if I'm going to be using Silent because I'm going to be changing so much up of the series in itself, especially the companions, for a more interesting dynamic. But like, Silent is a great character. A lot of Gen 5 hate. As a former Gen 5 hater, I was a when I was younger, you know, geez, back in the day, back in Dolly's day, when Gen 5 anime arrived, that's when I fell off the anime because I was just like, Ash lost to Snivy, you know, the entire stuff, he seemed regressed. You know, I was a big thing. And then I watched some of Gen 5, and honestly, Gen 5 is actually very good. Especially the Pokemon lineup is elite. They're just missing power and evolutions, but like, as a characters, they're fantastic. They clear a lot of other teams in terms of characterization, including Kalos. And Real Sky, actually, I'm gonna go over this with something because when people talk about replacing Infernape in Sinnoh, one thing they always keep talking about is they always try and replace it with Lucario or Gallade with a Pokemon that will have the same exact shit as Infernape. Like, when people talk about replacing Infernape, it's always just about changing the Pokemon, but taking everything about that Pokemon and sliding it over. And whenever I think about replacing Infernape, it's always to change the entirety of the story and not that. Because I think the Infernape Paul story has some big flaws in it. I think it's great, but I think it is kind of missing the point on a lot of things. Could have Phanpy evolve right before the League in Johto plus Heracross. You have two heavy hitters in Johto. I think Phanpy needs to be introduced earlier to have it evolve so quickly because it was still like a baby when it during the Johto League. It was almost like it was like on the level of Scrafty or Scraggy, where Ash was like, Scraggy, you just hatch, enter this tournament and fight for me. It's like, damn, he's a baby, dude. Gotta go. Good stream so far. Have a good day. See you, Harris. If you're allowed to use one member from each canon team, which would you go to keep? I've answered this question before, but I'll go over it real fast before we move on to the more analysis on that. Well, we've kind of covered a lot of this, where it's like, I think Totodile benefits the best because he just has zero. Like, Oshawott at least has a great personality. Totodile has his little dance, and that's it. And I think Johto's lacking in power. Squirtle potentially can evolve. It is not a wrong decision to evolve him. Team-wise, I would take... give me... For Gen 1, I'm taking Tauros. For Gen 2, Donphan. Gen 3, Glalie. Gen 4, Gliscor. Though I would use Gliscor for Gen 2, so we'll go with Buizel. Gen 5, Scraggy. Gen 6, Noivern. Gen 7, Melmetal. Melmetal or Lycanroc. Yeah, for Alligator versus Claire's team would go to heart. Like, I think one of the biggest misses in Johto, other than the way they wrote the entirety of the Johto season minus the league, well, there is some problems of this in the league, but what Johto missed out on is it kept using Kanto Pokemon to get the wins and did not give the Johto team proper training or time to shine to really show them as, like, a good unit. Like, I think there are a lot of... The Johto team is a lot of people's favorites, but I think it's mostly for nostalgia. There's some personality stuff, like Bayleaf's Gym is cool. Cynical, like, being a little baby and getting stronger is really good, but it's not like the rest of the team had a lot. If you do Hone and Sinnoh, are you going to do contests? Yes, 100%. Corphish, Jesus, Evil. Yeah, I think Corphish could have evolved. I think he was a menace. Like, I think he proved tough enough that I think, like, it's fine to keep him a Corphish. I don't think it ruins anything, but I am personally of the opinion of evolution. Yeah, exactly. YEX. Like, it's sort of like, who needs the boost the most, / who's the biggest jogger, or who makes the most narrative sense to give. Those are both great ways of looking at it. What if someone in the Pokemon world met Arceus and was like, oh shit, God is real? I think they were aware Arceus... No, he's a mythical. Never mind. They're aware God is real, because they have that church in Sinnoh, but they're not... They don't know it's Arceus. The writer completely rooted back day 1, Gen 1, to day 1, but more dumb. I disagree, Deshaun. I mean, I do think Ash in Gen 5 was rebooted, but if you think he's Gen 1 dumb, no fucking way. Gen 1 dumb is... He is so dumb in Gen 1. Like, there's a reason why I have to start my series with Ash doesn't know how to train, and it doesn't feel off-brand. I like when Ash found out Bulldor being a trait evolution a handful of episodes before the trait evolution episode, and he never thought of mentioning Bulldor. Nobody did. I think the hard part about that is they've never established Ash as someone who wants to evolve, and they never gave Bulldor motivation to evolve. Ash doesn't really think about evolving his Pokemon unless someone directly shoves it in face, like a Gliscor situation, or like, but he usually lets his team evolve naturally, you know, but he never tries to train them to evolve. Crap, if there's a reason I hate hitting enter. I didn't even see your message, Grenkle Corin, so don't worry. I like Muk, but I'm not sure if that's because I like Muk personally or it's because I like Muk as a like a Pokemon. It is my favorite. Muk's a great choice for Pokemon. Yeah, design like Magmortar could work. I don't think so, YEX, because at least the other team got moment to shine beyond Infernape. They all had time before. I think it's still bad, by the way, just because they had time before and we focused so hard on Infernape and / Gible in the last half. I don't think that suddenly makes it good. I think you're doing a disservice to the Pokemon by not giving them more and just making them fodder so Infernape can shine more later on. Greninja takes the spotlight the entirety of the Kalos arc. Like, it is all about Greninja. So I think Greninja is definitely a bigger spotlight stealer. And Triangle, that's a great way of thinking about that. Like, three Johto, 3 Kanto. I like the idea of Ash mixing his team with his Kanto and Johto mons for the league because that's a very important event. I think it's better to keep it a pure Johto team for the gym battles instead of having to use Pikachu to win or, like, bring back Charizard and Snorlax. So we're actually we'll go on to another question here. Because we have we have one more before the big one. We have 3 more. Additional Pokemon for Ash for the main team. The thing about this one, again, no wrong answers. This was always more of a, if, like, Ash's main team is 6. He switched a lot in Unova, but, like, it's sort of like who would be a constant on the team. You know, Donphan, it's like, he was on the Johto team? I mean, like, yeah, but, like, kind of the latter half. Like, I don't, like, Donphan's more known for Battle Frontier than he is Johto. How come Misty wasn't in a tournament or is she dealing with Gyarados? She's still training. That's why she wasn't in the tournament. Also, I didn't need her to be. It just, like, I don't need, like, a third rival in that tournament for Ash. For HDR Ash abilities, Pikachu has Lightning Rod. Tangela has Chlorophyll, I think it is. I think he gets Chlorophyll. Swift Swim for Golduck. Flash Fire for Ninetales. And Cubone, I believe, has Rockhead. I'm trying to remember all the Cubone abilities. Yeah, it has Rockhead. But if Ash were to start his journey with any of his ATR mons, who would you pick, fully evolved or baby? Oh, so the one I would pick, I think, really, is I would either go Psyduck, Beedrill, or Psyduck, Weedle, or Psyduck, Weedle, Vulpix, or Cubone. I think those. Well, I don't think I do Vulpix because Ninetales needs to be on the island for its personality to work. It wouldn't work as being given as a starter as a Vulpix. But those three I think would be rare because Beedrill is Ash's perfect partner in my verse. Like, it's better than, they're so in sync. They're on the same wavelength. They're great together. Ash starting off with a Psyduck that doesn't know how to swim and it needs headaches to get start fits into the underdog mentality. Same thing with Cubone with a big attitude problem. He'd probably have an easier time with Cubone because she's so battle hungry, and I think they'd bond very quickly and could reach the level of a Beedrill and Ash in a similar vein. Yeah, same with me YX. I want to do some kind of stream where we all I can like it's not it's like a stream, but some way where I can, when I'm rewatching the anime, you guys can be in like a chat with me, watching with me and listening to my bullshit takes. I would love to stream rewatching the anime, but you just can't do that. Nothing much, random black hair dude. So let's go over this. The obvious choice is Haunter for a lot of people. Like, when you go over all the videos of redoing Ash's teams, people always give him Haunter or Gengar and stuff. I don't think it's a wrong answer. I do think it's a boring answer, and it's more of to expand your guys' horizons, no pun intended, of, like, Tauros would be an interesting mon to be on the main team or something, or, like, Donphan. I probably should have excluded this to Kanto, but it's more of the mentality of, like, who needs it? I think, in my mind, personally, Tauros or Donphan for me have always been a thing. This isn't really that in-depth of a list. It's more of like, hey, guys, sometimes, like, it's like, when you're thinking of ideas, it's like, it's cool to like the Haunter idea, but, like, sometimes think more outside the box a little and stuff. If you're trying to do a YouTube series like this, or you're trying to write a story like this for where Ash has a new team, like, Haunter's been done to death, But if you're, like, to throw Tauros on the main team and develop, like, one Tauros and not have the herd, could be really unique and interesting. Will Harrison, Morrison, and Cameron still appear in ATR? If they do, I don't know about, if they do, it won't be in the level that they were in the show. Like, they won't be, like, league rivals like that. Like, the league. Ash will have a proper rival for Hoenn, and he has plenty of rivals in, Unova. Yeah, the only reason I think Pichu in the anime doesn't have Lightning Rod is because it wasn't invented when they invented abilities. Or, like, Pichu didn't have the ability to have Lightning Rod when it had the abilities. Yeah, and Bulldor is a great choice as well because he adds an identity he helps add to the identity of a team. I think he adds, like, a solid rock, no pun intended, personality to the team, where you have very boisterous personalities like Scraggy, Oshawott, Tepig, Crocodile even. And so having kind of like a more mellow, solid personality like Bulldor really helps round that off. Cubone trainer, I crave violence. Exactly. What if Magcargo with Torkoal personality? I think it'd work. It'd be very dangerous because it's made of lava. No, Torkoal's a very underrated Pokemon. I think we were too hard on Torkoal. I don't think Torkoal takes as many losses as we think, or he's not as useless as we think. He's actually a pretty strong Pokemon. Like, one of his major losses is against a Registeel, where he body slams that bitch too, like, in a really cool way. It has Overheat. Like, it had Overheat naturally, I think it's just because it's funny because Torkoal's not it's like weird because when people say crybaby, it's usually someone who gets sad a lot. Torkoal cries tears of joy a lot. He's never usually like a crybaby as in I'm sad and depressed, I'm going to cry. So it's very interesting, and Torkoal's very a unique Pokemon. we could have a watch party, but we'd have to be responsible for ourselves to watch the episode, so you don't have to show any on screen. I mean, I could do something like that. I'm gonna figure something out, Quiznos, because it's something I definitely want to do for like Gen 5 or like, you know, Gen 6. I think Gen 6 would be a fun watch along with you guys because you know how much I hate it. So it's be interesting for you guys to see if I go on a journey of, you know what, Gen 6, I've been too hard on you, or I'm like, I'm so validated and you're all wrong. Yeah, Ekans or Persians could definitely work with Ash. Which member of Ash Alola team you want to remove, and what will you add? I mean, for my series, I'm removing all of them because I can't use any of them. I would love to keep a lot of them. I mean, like, I think Ash's Alola team is one of his best. And it's not because of, like, Ash's Alola team is purely I think it is one of the best, top 3 at least. If only because Ash has an advantage with that team that he doesn't get with others, which is he's in a stagnant location where he gets to really bond with them. Alola was really about Ash, like, embracing the country as a whole, or the region as a whole. And so he gets to experience a lot with the team. They get to be out all the time. Like, if you watch a lot of the other series, his Pokemon aren't out all the time. It's like, he's traveling the road. So it's sort of like, oh, we're pausing. We have to pause for lunch, or we're in a gym battle, or we're doing something where we're stopped. Sorry, people entered my house and I had to conserve their identities. But I think Alola has the advantage of being out all the time, so Ash gets to really bond with them a lot. Like, of all the Pokemon to leave behind at a location, I think leaving the Alola team at Alola is not wrong instead of sending them to the ranch. Macargo with a Bayleaf personality is dangerous. We want to hear Dolly shit on fucking Gen 6 because it's trash. Funny. What's the logic to give it, to give the smartass that? The reason why Pikachu has Lightning Rod is because I noticed a lot in Gen 1, I think it's just a cool ability, but I think Pikachu has a lot of feats of absorbing electricity, and so I think giving it a Lightning Rod ability is unique like that. Out of all my old ATR teams, which ones am I on, and which ones do I like, and which ones do I hate? That's a great question. I think the one I like the most, what? Kind of half and half. I'm like, I'm a little on my Johto team because I gave him Espeon and Quagsire, and I think that's a quitter's mentality. I think one of my favorites I made was the Alola team, or the Alola team, or the Hoenn team. The one I think I don't like the most with what I did is I think the one I don't like the most, oddly enough, is my Sinnoh team or my Kanto team. Sinnoh team simply because I think there's a lot of cool Sinnohmons, and I got really stuck in he needs a Fire, Water, Grass core the entire time. And that kind of is a problem that plagues all my teams early on. You know, I think I really shot myself in the foot for a lot of that. Do I think Venonat works well with Ash? I think any Pokemon generally can work well with Ash. I think it just depends on how you write it. You know, like if it, especially like I think Pokemon choice comes down to a lot of factors. One is personality of the Pokemon and how it meshes with Ash, and then how it fits well on a team. Aurora, you rewatched a few episodes of Gen 6 anime a while ago, and the only thing you remember was it was really cool. Like, Ash is cool. Serena's a cool love interest. Ash is a cool team. That's a lot of Gen 6. A lot of Gen 6 is cool, but I don't think they like, the gym battles themselves are cool, but I don't think they're good, if that makes any sense. Hi, Ben. Yeah, the 60 people. Do you need something in here? So many people in my house. The whatchamacallit. Yeah, so I think Gen 6 has a major cool problem, but it feels like a lot of their gym battles, while really visually spectacular, are always just like, we need to get through the whatever Pokemon to get to the main event of Ace versus Ace. Ash's Lycanroc evolving early was good. I like that. Have you made recently? Do you disagree with your fans on most? Yeah, I actually do disagree with my fans on a lot of them. But also, I didn't make them with the idea of like, you know, you guys are wrong and dumb. It was more like, I know what my mentality choice is. And with a lot of these, it's about like analyzing, having you guys do some self-reflection of like, why did I make this choice? Because I think, and it's really more to expand your writing horizons, where you're not thinking in the standard mentality of, I'm going to do the same thing everyone else does, you know, because that's what a lot of my series is about, is going against the grain. Did Ash defeat Giovanni in your ATR? I mean, he hasn't even fought Giovanni. His ATR team was cracked. Kartana Marshadow was crazy. Yeah, I think Kartana feasibly could be replaced with like a Pheromosa or a Buzzwole as well and stuff, but I did like the Kartana choice. I especially love the Marshadow choice. The Marshadow was gun. Yeah, dude, we got 60 people. The Dollywop channel's blowing up, Splatter Sparks. I don't know if you know, episode's definitely coming out next week. I've had work this week. Also, it just takes, the episode's 17 minutes because I'm wrapping up the tournament, so there's so many battles in it. But what I'm also doing is I'm adding some actual animation to some of the battles. So that's why. I'm not sure. I've debated, Aurelia, on doing Let's Go partner moves. I don't think it's wrong because it's a part of the Pokemon canon. So a Pikachu could feasibly learn that. You know, I take in all moves a Pokemon can learn, not just like, well, this is a mystery gift event or something. Like, feasibly, I could give Pikachu Meteor Mash because of the costume Pikachus. It depends on just if I think fits or not. A lot of the Let's Go moves have kind of like very just names that really don't make me want to use them. But I'm debating. So let's go to the starter things. There were 3 commonplace trap answers, and then there was 1 unique answer on this one. I personally would go with Ditto. Ditto and Porygon, if I could start ATR over, I don't think my series would do well if I didn't have Pikachu as a main partner, but I would have chosen a Porygon or Ditto as Ash's main partner. But I think this falls into a lot of the trap. I saw a lot of comments for the Eevee, Clefairy, Bulbasaur choices. A lot of the Eevee choices were unique, like giving Ash like a Jolteon or like evolving into something else. A lot of them were, but like this was more to analyze the mentality of people. And also, this is kind of a harder poll. This doesn't immediately make any of these invalid, if only because I didn't give you, if I could give you more options, I would have. If I could have had 3 more unique options on here, I would have. But like, why would people give Ash one of the Kanto starters? One of the reasons why they would give Ash any of these top 3, Clefairy, Eevee, Bulbasaur, Squirtle, or Charmander, is because marketing. Because people think, well, the anime, you know, even if you're not thinking, you might be thinking at the back of your head. The thing I think about with a lot of this is when people pick the Kanto starters, they think in 3 lines. 1, I'm doing Bulbasaur because Red in the manga had a Bulbasaur. I'm doing Squirtle because Ash wanted a Squirtle when he first, you know, if he had gone up on time, he would have had a Squirtle because that was the one he chose. I chose Charmander because Charizard and Ash, I mean, it's synonymous. Again, not bad choices, but I think it's the standard choice people think. I think it's very, like, I think one of the worst mentalities you could have, maybe not the worst, but a hard mentality you could have is, I'm going to do this for the reference. And because I think when people think that, they're only thinking of the reference. They're not thinking of the uniqueness of the Pokemon, how it fits on the team, or its personality. They're thinking, I'll use Aerodactyl because Red in the manga had Aerodactyl, and that's a fun reference. If I redo Ash's team and he has Bulbasaur, Squirtle, and Charmander, I'll make Charmander, Charizard, Bulbasaur, Ivysaur, and Squirtle because of the Pokemon trainer reference. And it's not a wrong mentality to have. It's just something people have done a lot. So it's about thinking outside the box. Clefairy is a unique choice to give a starter, but what I saw in a lot of the comment section is because Clefairy was almost the mascot. You know, it doesn't mean Clefairy's a bad choice to give Ash. I don't think it's a one I would give Ash because it's a little too feminine for Ash's Pokemon of choice, though that could work. I don't think that's a knock against it. It's still a unique choice. I don't think Clefairy is a wrong choice. I think the mentality of it is just having the thought process of what is Clefairy and how it contrasts Ash. I think Ash having a female Clefairy that is very sassy almost and very contrasts his personality, doesn't really think her trainer is that good, and so they clash a lot. Maybe they reel each other in, but they have great in sync moments. Very unique mentality. Very unique personality right there. You know, it's an interesting choice in that regard. But a lot of mentality I saw before was Clefairy was almost the mascot, so it'd be a great choice there and stuff. And Anime Menace. Also, it doesn't mean, when I say all this stuff, it doesn't mean Aerodactyl wouldn't be a great Ashmon. I think a lot of people just go into the idea of giving Ash an Aerodactyl because of red. And that's kind of what I'm trying to go against the grain on, is not giving a Pokemon for the reference, but giving a Pokemon because you actually think through that Pokemon very well. Eevee, very unique. It's the mascot choice. It actually is a unique choice in some regard, especially, but I think only if you choose to evolve it. If you just keep it Eevee forever, you're just doing the second mascot, whatever, you know, Espeon, everyone wants Ash to have Espeon because of red. It's not a unique thing. I think Espeon could work for Ash, but I think a lot of people do it because of red. I think if you evolved Eevee into Umbreon, that'd be very unique. Into Espeon, or not Espeon, Flareon, Jolteon, or Vaporeon, very unique. Glaceon or Leafeon, very unique. The Sylveon, I don't think works. You could do it. I mean, anything's possible. I gave Ash look at my teams. I gave Ash ridiculous. I gave him a Salazzle. I think Sylveon doesn't work too well as a partner in Pokemon, if only because you have to wait till all the way to Gen 6. If you're doing everything by generation, you would have to wait all the way to Gen 6, and I think that's way too late of an evolution. The reason I like Ditto, personally, is Ditto can transform into anything. I think Ash has to think a lot early on about how he fights with Ditto. Take the Brock battle, for example. Ditto, he sends out Ditto first. It transforms into Geodude. It beats Geodude. Now it's a Geodude versus an Onix. Like, that could be how Ash loses the first time around. And then afterwards, he realizes, oh, I'm going to use my second Pokemon to defeat Geodude first, and then it's Ditto transformed to Onix versus Onix. And, like, Ash having to work around that mentality. You could even do some fun stuff where, like, I mean, the Poketopia game showed Ditto using moves of Pokemon, so it's like, maybe Ditto is around Pokemon so much, it learns to, use moves, like, use Vine Whip, and it makes Vine Whips, Potential, something you can do there. You can think uniquely on this. But it's not wrong here. I think it's just more about, Vaporeon. Great choice. Vaporeon's a fun Pokemon. Did I screenshot, the final one? Before we get to Ash versus Chimchar, where I did not, actually. Well, before I tear Chimchar to fucking pieces. This is a more unique poll. This was the last one we posted before, well, I think the reason why Oak had, well, it's because it's the first come, first served on those starters. Professor Oak can still provide Pokemon for people. Like, not everyone starts off with Bulbasaur, Charmander, or Squirtle, but those are, like, the rare, easy to train, very good starting Pokemon for trainers. So, like, if Oak didn't, like, for other trainers that come see Oak, they would get Rattatas, Pidgeys, Mankeys, like, stuff like that. How about having a Dragonite as a starter? Could work, Mad, but I think you run the risk of, one, like, it coming off very protagonisty, very, like, I'm the main character, look at my rare pseudo. And then you also run the risk, a lot of Ash starter choices can be hard when you take them to other regions Dragonite is egregious because I feel like even if you say evolve Pikachu into Raichu in like Gen 3 or like before Gen 3 or something, and he had a Raichu throughout Hoenn or Sinnoh and didn't use them, like you could feasibly use Raichu in like the 4th or 5th gym. Dragonite, I feel like you gotta wait till like 8th gym to even use. Otherwise, it's gonna be like a curb stomp. Unless you give Ash the very special one from the Pokemon Adventures mixed with Chloe's unevolved Eevee, you could catch my drift. Get to all the evolutions plus him. And you know what, Tevin? That is something that can happen. I mean, also you can do things that are non-canon, but I rationalize things of like what's happened that I can manipulate versus not. But Eevee that could evolve into multiple different Eevees is a fun idea. Notice you aren't using the standing desk for once. Got tired of T-posing on us? Oh, you think I'm tired of T-posing on you guys? Not on your life. The joke one from Magikarp. Oh, Magikarp would be brutal for Ash. T-posing. Ash had a Flareon. I work with Golden Retriever energy. Yeah, that's a great way to think about it. What starter do you think fits Ash? I think Squirtle, I mean, Charmander's not a bad fit. I just hate Charmander, so I can't give it to Ash. I think it's just I think Charmander just screams very protagonisty, very like aggressive. Ash would have Bulbasaur because he needs a calming, or actually Ash would probably have Squirtle. Gary would have Bulbasaur, and Green would have Charmander. Charmander fits in my trio there. Charmander fits best with Green because of her fire personality. I think for Gary, I think Venusaur is a very strategic Pokemon with powders and like the ability to poison and leech seed, and I think that very fits well with Gary's mentality. Though I think Blastoise still fits in that regard. You could interchange Blastoise and Venusaur for Ash and Gary, but I think I do like Blastoise, or I do like Venusaur with Ash for the mentality of having a more calmer Pokemon with Ash's more exuberant nature. This is one of those polls where it was like there was no wrong answer on this one. I think probably the standard answer might have been Dawn's Mamoswine because it's a big, powerful Pokemon. Haxorus actually got some pretty more votes than I thought. I think people would think of Iris's Haxorus being too synonymous with her, where it feels weird to take it away from her. Togetic, I got a lot of great reasoning on there because of how Togepi initially formed, and you guys very much outshone my expectations with Togepi, where you thought more of the idea of Ash having to raise a baby Pokemon to a fighter. So great hats all around. So you guys had some great mentalities. Skitty I threw on there because of my favorite Pokemon, but I did see some great Skitty writings of like it using assist, its personality on the team. You know, so I think that worked very well. So this one, honestly, I don't have too many notes on here because none of these are a bad choice. There is no, like, the most obvious choice in my mind is Mamoswine because it's a thing, because it's like just a strong Pokemon in general. But I think you guys very much cooked on this one. I don't think there was a single wrong answer on here. I saw a lot of great reasonings in there. I personally would go Skitty or Togepi, but I like the oddball choices. I don't think actually Haxorus would be a bad choice either. I probably wouldn't go Mamoswine, but I think it's because I think of other Pokemon that could fill the niche. Give Ash the cut beta leaked flying Eevee. That'd be fun. T-posing. I am T-posing. I'm tired. I'm 27. Jesus Christ. Eevee could be like Deku with One for All. Straight up utilize the form's abilities when needed. Yeah, no, exactly. I'm making one of my big videos that will come out in the summer, rewriting the entire Pokemon Horizon in my way. Great. I can't wait to see it, Phantom Tarek. Random fact that may also spur Greninja to dislike further. Frogger did not take a single L. Middle stage has the best win ratio of Greninja's 3 stages. Damn. Stream went silent for you? We still going? Yeah, no, we're still going. Might be a you thing. If Ash got on Squirtle, would his battling style be more defensive, or would he have a real fast Blastoise? I think it would be a mix. I think it would be, I think Blastoise would define his battle style because I think it would have some pretty good reactions. It wouldn't be a speedster, but like nothing will ever be as fast as Pikachu in that regard. But like it would be bulky, it would take hits, and it would definitely be a Pokemon that gets a lot more physical, I think, with its opponents. Like I like if you watched Enter the Unknown's retelling of Ash's adventures if he woke up on time, I think the way he does the Blastoise there is a great indication of how Ash would use Blastoise. No, Splatter, I don't think Ash has beef with Gary for taking his choice. He's more like fuck, I got unlucky because they beat me to it. You know? Like he loves Pikachu, so it's like he's not really resentful that he didn't, because in my mind, for him to be resentful of Gary getting Squirtle means he doesn't want Pikachu, and he loves Pikachu. Personally, I'm thinking either Togepi or Haxorus. Togepi because Misty did basically steal Ash's Pokemon on accident. Axew, I have a reason. Honestly, she kind of stole it on purpose, if I'm being honest. The story potential of Ash raising a dragon type while his main traveling companion is Iris Dragon Master. That way you can have an arc of Iris badgering Ash until Ash shows her attitude wrong. Well, I think in a weird way you could have it like that, but you could also have it in a way of like Ash has not had experience with a lot of dragon types. Iris comes from a dragon type village, and it's more of Ash learning that despite Iris being young, she can be a little bit of a pest, but she has a lot of knowledge on dragon types that he can utilize, and he should take her into consideration. Dolly will be in his 40s when he finishes ATR? Yeah, basically. Hopefully not. Hopefully I finished it way earlier, but, you know, that's the way things go. His videos are the reason I voted for the Kanto starters? Yeah, no, I mean, it's not a wrong way of going it. Would taking Serena's Sylveon and giving it to Ash work too? I think a Sylveon could work for Ash. It's personally not one I would go with. Like, I'll give you guys an example. Originally on the ATR team, the 6th member was going to be Kangaskhan, or it was going to be Jigglypuff. Jigglypuff was actually going to be 6th team member, but it gave Ash's Kanto team too much of a feminine edge that I didn't like. Even with Jigglypuff being a boy. And it's not like Ash can't have a majority female or a more female-centric team, but I think for at least the first team, I wanted to kind of keep it an even mix of, like, an even mix of weirdos, because Ninetales has that feminine edge, and I think with 2, it feels like a lot, you know, or at least one that's so overtly, like, pink or motherly, you know, like Jigglypuff's pink, Kangaskhan motherly. Cubone's also a girl, so it's a lot of female Pokemon on one team, at least for the start. So good all around on you guys for this one. Did I miss one? We've done the Squirtle, we've done Overgrow, we've done this, we've done this. East one, the one that started off this entire thing. This one was not made with the idea of it being a test for Ash, or not a test for Ash. Sorry, this wasn't one that was meant to be in the mentality of a test for you guys of like, you know, what your writing mentality is. This was a more general one. I'm tired of standing. This was more of a general question, but we can rephrase it in that way. What is the most mundane utility you could see Ash or his companions do with their Pokemon? Such Pikachu Shard and say they barely reaching for something high up. Yeah, I mean, stuff like that. I mean, Pikachu Shard and stuff. Or, like, using the water types to cool themselves down. What about the Pokemon Ash caught and released after and a Pokemon you traded but didn't use at all? I definitely think those shouldn't be excluded. I am, though, because if they had a solid enough personality, like Beedrill Ash caught in the bug type catching position, but it wasn't a Pokemon of Ash's. It's like something he caught for competition, but he didn't use it. Beedrill has no personality. It's just a thing. Everything else he's caught or released has a personality. I think one of the general rules I'll go off of is where is it? Is like if they were seen in Ash's flashback, I generally avoid them. Like, or the Pikachu flashback at the end of Journeys when it's like seeing all the Pokemon around it. Those are generally the guidelines I follow. That's a great Sylveon right there, Splatter Sparks. Castform also would be a fun Hoenn. I have considered Castform. Actually, I think Ash having Gardevoir and Hoenn could work very much so. I am reevaluating I'm reevaluating every team before I start writing the region, so I have no. I think Larvitar is on an thing because it's like yes and no. I think I generally tend towards no, but it really depends if I really want to write a Larvitar because like I think a Pseudo in Gen 2 is early for Ash. So I did see a funny comment on this one, which treated the Pokemon more like people. Like Chimchar, like the way they wrote it was like Chimchar Infernape isn't actively trying to take all the moments from the other Pokemon. The other Pokemon just keep losing a lot, and it's kind of on them for all that. And it's like we're more talking about Chimchar. Infernape isn't a person that took away the time. The writers took away the time from the other Pokemon. But the way I think about it is that Chimchar kind of is there's a fundamental flaw in Ash and Paul's rivalry. It's still the best rivalry. Paul is the best rival, hands down. But like, I don't think Ash proved him wrong in a weird regard. Like, the thing that Ash gave Chimchar that Paul didn't was emotional support. Like, a lot of the big Chimchar Ash moments are Ash just being kind to Chimchar. It's not really proving Paul's training method wrong. It's more of the emotional side that Paul was lacking that he could not provide for Chimchar. Ash doesn't really have like a distinct training style that is in, that counters Paul or is in opposition to Paul's, because Paul's entire mentality is he likes naturally strong Pokemon and stuff. Even if they are a first stage, he will train them to be monsters, but they have to show potential like that. In Ash's case, he more takes Pokemon people consider weak, and I may be attributing stuff that the anime is not trying to show, but he takes Pokemon people consider weak and makes them strong. And I think the hard part, this isn't even a Chimchar-based problem. It's a Sinnoh team problem. Starly's a Starly. I mean, or Staraptor was just a Staraptor. It's not like, it's not like it, it's not like it had anything negative against it or had anything positive against it. I hate when it does this. I think the biggest biggest culprit of who helps show Ash's potential off in a weird way and ruins it. Ash doesn't really have a lot of weaklings who become strong here, or weaklings that he brings the potential out of. Because Staraptor is just basic. There's nothing about Staraptor that was so weak. It just didn't have Aerial Ace like Paul was looking for in comparison to the Starly he caught. When it comes to Torterra, it wasn't bad in the beginning and stuff. It got bad when it evolved to Grotle, but I think you could spin that in a way of most Pokemon know how to fight differently when it evolves. Ash almost took it in the wrong direction by making it a speedy Turtwig, and it had to learn to adapt. But Ash didn't help Torterra to adapt. That's the problem. Ash didn't train Torterra to be better. It just kind of got worse. Weasel's a fighter from the fucking core. He literally got traded to Ash because he's more of a fighter. I think in regards, it would have worked better if Ash catch Aipom, a Pokemon that prefers contests or fights in a more contest-like way, and Ash, it's takes a Pokemon, incorporates that contest battle style into Ambipom, and shows it off more. And, I think Weasel does not help the Ash vs. Paul rivalry. Ash did not train Gliscor. A single bit. Gary evolved Gliscor, or gave Ash the means to evolve Gliscor, and it's not like Ash got Gligar working, and then it evolved into Gliscor. Gligar just kind of evolved into Gliscor, and then was less shit. And then even then, I hate when Ash does this in general. Ash let Gliscor stay with the Air Battle Master, and someone else trained his Gliscor. So even when Gliscor is kicking ass in the Sinnoh League, it's not because of Ash's efforts, it's because of someone else. So, and then Gibble's Gibble. I mean, he did help him learn Draco Meteor, which is the one thing I'll give him, but he's not even in the equation of these guys because this is the team Ash used to fight Paul. You know, like, Gibble's not a part of this. Gibble's not a part of this equation. And when it comes to Infernape, like, yes, Ash beat Paul in the sake of he was able to emotionally connect and help Infernape, and Infernape was able to utilize Blaze in that regard, but Infernape is still a naturally strong Pokemon. That overwhelming Blaze is still a thing. It's like people saying like Naruto's an underdog, but he has the strongest tailed beast inside of him that helps him win every fight that he's about to lose. Like, without the Ninetale, without like the overwhelming chakra he gets from Kurama, it's of like Naruto's not fucking doing that, the shit he does, you know? So Infernape isn't really even an underdog either. And it's not, the anime might not be trying to portray it like this. I might be taking liberties of what I think the rivalry should be more than what they do. But like, when it comes to this team, I don't think Ash showed Paul that he was wrong and Ash was right. I don't even think, like, because Ash doesn't have a distinct training style. Paul has a distinct training style and a distinct type of Pokemon he goes for. Ash is kind of all over the place. It's kind of whatever Ash gets, he gets. And I think that kind of lessens the rivalry there. So if it just comes, so like, even then, the rivalry just kind of comes down to, can Ash bring the potential out of Blaze? Then yeah, I guess he won in that regard because he could. But it's not like Ash trained with Chimchar in a way. It was just kind of like, Chimchar's out of control. I'm going to give you hugs till you calm down. And you're going to learn kind of gradually as we go, as you bond with me more. You know, but it's not like Ash was training Chimchar like that. And so what I think, if you had to redo this, or something I'm planning to do, is, the, Pokemon, more of Ash having a team of Pokemon that are considered weaklings that he's able to bring the potential out of, rather than Paul's mentality of catching naturally strong Pokemon and accelerating them to higher levels. And in the process, maybe not even learning that Ash is right and Paul's wrong. I like the idea of them both taking from each other's training methods to, like, fight. And even if Ash wins, I don't think it proves one's superior than the other, because they both had to concede in some way to the other's methods. Because all of Paul's Pokemon vibe with his training. Chimchar is the only one who just couldn't work with it, but everyone else works extremely well with Paul's methods. I do think Lucario is an overrated choice if you were to give Ash a Sinnoh Pokemon. I think when people think about, like, what if we removed Infernape? Their entire mentality is, what if we replaced it with a Pokemon that has some sort of psychic or aura-based ability, like Gallade or like Lucario, that can have an overwhelming power? And I think you're still thinking in the wrong mentality in that regard. Yeah, Weasel is great, don't get me wrong. I just don't think he contributes to the rivalry in any way. And every Lucario in the anime is the same. It's either usually pretty stoic, and then they're usually out of control in some regard, and they, you know, learn to control it, but they're usually, every Lucario is basically the same. Do you think you could write any rival to be better than Paul? I hope so. I'm not going to be arrogant. Like, I think Paul is a great rival. I don't know if I could write anyone on the level of Paul, if only because I think it would just be doing Paul, but again, because the best way to write a quote-unquote better rival than Paul is someone who conflicts with Ash's ideologies just as hard as Paul does, and Paul kind of really does that to a T. So I don't think it's like, I hope to surpass him, but I think I would rather, you know, I think one of my best rivals I'll write in this series is going to be Paul. I think Buizel would be a better ace for an ape. Possibly. I think Buizel would need to start off weaker and not as, like, maybe he's like more of a jobber like Gligar was, but Ash actually helps him get there. Will get Ash Staraptor Mega Evolution? No, because I'm not using Staraptor. I've gone back and forth on Aipom and Ambipom. I don't think I'm gonna use Ambipom, if only because I would still have to, like, if I want Ambipom on Ash's team, I want the Ambipom he had. And this is all about doing something different. And so even if I gave Ash an Ambipom, I would have to make it a different Pokemon. And in my heart of hearts, Aipom still counts as an Ash Pokemon. It was in the flashback. I think it still counts. So I'm not going to use it. The thing with Torterra, I think, is people always talk about how it shouldn't have evolved. And I think that's the wrong mentality of have it. They're like, well, it should have been a speedy Turtwig. I think it's such a fantastic arc for Torterra is being a speedy fighter as a Turtwig and learning to be a more stagnant fighter. Don't know why the anime can't do stagnant fighters well. It blows my mind. It is less animation work in everything. You just have a Pokemon take a lot of hits, use its moves more defensively to block blows, and fight at a range, you know? And when it does get up close, like, crush the opponent. Like, it is not a hard thing to do. Like, I think Ash can handle a Pseudo or a Suedo in Gen 4 in Gible. I think Gible is just kind of like, I don't know, just boring. I think it's because the team feel like, I think an interesting choice on Ash's team is Gliscor. I think that's a great choice for his team. We're going to reimagine the Sinnoh team real fast because I can, and I'm not going to use things I'm choosing. But, like, I think Gliscor is a solid choice to start out on. Like, Pokemon I think are interesting to give Ash that people consider weak and that grows to be strong is like a Mothim, a Vespiquen, even Perugly, you know, Chimecho from Chingling, you know, Bronzong, Carnivine, Lumineon, finding a way to fight with that on land, Licky, you know, Tangrowth. I mean, I'm using a Tangela myself. One of the two evolutions. I think people don't use a lot of evolutions in League-like battles. I mean, other than Virgil, but he's the exception. You know, you see a lot of evolutions in contest battles. So a Leafeon or a Glaceon, Probopass, something like that. You know, there's a lot of potential for interesting Mons. It's just about how you bring them out. I think Ash has a very standard Sinnoh team. Like, if he didn't have Pikachu, I think he would have a Luxray on his team. I think he would have the standard Sinnoh team we all give him. Naruto is an underdog. Don't come at me for that. Naruto is not an underdog. By the end of that series, Naruto is not an underdog. He's God Jesus reincarnated with the blood of fucking 10 Hokages in him and the strongest tail beast. No wonder. Rock Lee is an underdog. Naruto, not. Yeah, the story would have to be, by the way, when it's sort of like the idea of like not using Chimchar on the team, you would have to rewrite the story in some regard. I think the team wouldn't be, you wouldn't have, personally, if I had to erase Chimchar, I would erase a lot of the Pokemon on this team. Kricketot, yeah, exactly. And have Ash have a new Sinnoh team, mix of old and new members, but like have Ash have a team of flawed Pokemon that don't work well for usual trainers, but but Ash is able to bring the potential out of him. And we actually see Ash work and train with this team. You know, not just hugs. You know, yeah, and I honestly, Gallade can work on that regard because a weak Crybaby Ralts or something becoming this powerful Gallade or even a Gardevoir, like, fits in this theme I'm thinking. When we get to the Sinnoh, the ATR Sinnoh team will be the opposite of the ATR Kanto team. Yeah, in a way. Like do I have it written down? I'll divulge to you because I divulged that the way I think of the Sinnoh team, or sorry, the Kanto team is the way I think of the Kanto team is weirdos. The way I think of the Johto team is family. The way I think of, I don't think I have a, the way I can't remember the thing of the Hoenn team. The way I think of the Sinnoh team, I think is a found family. And that seems like a cheating thing where it's like, well, you have family for the Johto team. Found family in my mind is different. The the idea is that they are a bunch of friends that bond together, even if they have conflicting personalities and conflicting things, where they become this kind of like mini group of like, you could think Guardians of the Galaxy-esque almost. Not quite that level, but like kind of like people that come together like that. Coward Goofy Lucario is a great way of going about it, Aurora. That's a great way. When I've had to write, I wrote a Lucario, one of my personal stories for my character Lucas. Lucas, main character of Sinnoh, and rather like Lucario takes a back seat. He's more of a sage, like stoic kind of guy. That seems very in line, but he's more of a, like, he has his outbursts of emotion and embarrassment, but he's more of a mentor kind of character rather than the guy who needs to be trained up. But he's also a ghost hunter. Like, he is like, there's just so much I could go into with those stories. What do I mean, Lunala? Did I say Lunala, or did someone say Lunala here? Do you think Blossom could fit in an Ashmon team? 100%. You don't even have to give it Bailey's personality. You make it like a happy-go-lucky dancer, kind of like Totodile and stuff, who incorporates its dance moves into its fighting. So make Ash's weakest team, all the Pokemon to be from different regions. If you mean from the anime, I think people have already done that. Ash will get a Bellsprout and get a Mega, possibly. Unova will not be a real challenge for Ash. I don't think Hilbert will be the real problem when we get there because Ash will have fully evolved Unova team and Alter won't be a problem. He is lazy. You'll be surprised. Ash has really big struggles coming with Unova. I mean, also, Leafeon is definitely a potential member. I would even make a feminine Leafeon. I'm only, like, straying from the... I don't mind Ash having more feminine Pokemon on the team than masculine. I just didn't want to do it for the original Kanto team. Bronzong is fun. Still stand on Bidoof. Again, Bidoof, great. Quiznos, again, great there. Over, Paul would call Bidoof like a weakling. You know, Bidoof learns the skills. You can even have Ash work with Reggie a little bit because Reggie has a very experienced Babarrel. So Ash learned some things from, in the same way that Ash learned from Mr. Raptor, you could have Babarrel learn from Babarrel. Yeah, I mean, Lunala's on the table for, like, yeah, nicotine. Yanmega would be funny. Yanmega's a choice I thought of. I thought of Yanma for the Johto team, actually, at one point. Is Chatot a crazy pick? It seems weak and is more content, but I can see it in the ball rivalry. 100% Chatot could work. That could be a definitely interesting Pokemon for Ash to have. I am the storm. Yeah, no, Chatot singing that, it would be very funny. Like the Bidoof Pokemon from the original video. Exactly, Mohammed. That was a lot of my mentality with the original video, is Ash having a team of weaker Pokemon that Paul considers weaklings that are generally weaklings that Ash brings the potential out of. Toxic, great mentality there, where like it's a Piplup that's weak, gets destroyed by Roark, and Pikachu has to help clean up, or whatever other Ash Pokemon has, you know, with Piplup growing into the Regal Empoleon. It's not about how the Pokemon end up, it's more of how the Pokemon start that matters the most. Yeah, I know it's not about I know the series isn't about hard work overcoming talent, YEX, but it doesn't matter. The retcon still happened. Naruto is not an underdog. Also, he doesn't start with an underdog. Someone who could summon a million Shadow clones to beat the fuck out of people and have as a get out of jail free card with the Ninetales is not an underdog. Like, let's be real. Naruto didn't have to work for those. He learned a fucking technique in a night, and then he learned a, like, S-ranked forbidden technique in a less than a night, and then summoned a million Shadow clones. That's not underdog potential. That's not underdog material. People don't know what underdogs are anymore. Underdogs have to lose a lot. Naruto does not lose a lot. People do not write underdogs well. Underdogs are not, people don't like underdogs. They like people with themes of underdogs and stuff. It's like, I saw someone call Deku from My Hero an underdog. He's not an underdog. He even said, he starts off with the world's strongest quirk, and he's not meant to be, he's not written as an underdog, you know? Any plans for Krogunk? Yes. Like a crybaby Zoro that would be raised by Ash against, well, yeah, exactly. And it's sort of like, not every Pokemon on the team has to be super weak or super pathetic. it's more about being unusual in ways that, like, I think Contest and BPOM is a great way of going about it. Like, where APOM loses battles against Paul because it's more focused on trying to be pretty than trying to be effective. And Ashe having to work with AMBPOM and APOM to incorporate that into the battle style to make it unpredictable and deadly. You know? Like, say it's, like, you know, using, like, dance moves to dodge or something, or it's breakdancing and it's dodging attacks or something, or breakdancing with swifts all around it to protect itself, you know? How dumb is ATR Ashe? What's the scale? Like an outlet for a dare or attempting high-speed chase on a Snorlax? Outlet for a dare. I think lick an outlet for a dare is more of his speed. Like ATR Ashe has basic common sense, but he's also arrogant, where he thinks he knows best. A lot of his down moments where he's down on his luck and he's like, I got my ass kicked. I don't, like, am I wrong? He doesn't learn from them. He more, like, learns to build himself back up and reassure himself, like, no, I just got to try harder. He hasn't truly suffered a devastating enough loss to really shake him out of his mentality. Like, he could attribute a lot of other stuff to how he lost. Or there's a way he knows he can go back and win, so it's not as bad. I like the choices, Phantom Tarek. Buizel, Lopunny, Carnivine, Vespiquen, and Weavile. Great choices right there. Hold on. I'm grabbing medicine. Just needed a Claritin. My nose is stuffy. It's cold. Roserade is a weakling. Look at Cynthia and say it again. It's not that Roserade is a weak Pokemon. It's that you started off as a Badoo that's not very good at fighting and has like an Oshawott personality. And it's not good at battling. It's a baby Pokemon for one. And Ashe is able to bring the potential out of it into a powerful Pokemon. It's like, it doesn't... And also, that's actually kind of another mentality of it to think of. Yeah, I'm doing some of the Nevi. Don't worry. Also, like, Solgaleo, it's like, yeah, it's on Ashe's team, but, like, it's not an Ashe Pokemon. It's not a part of the fucking Alola squad like that. Also, I'm not even letting Ashe use a legendary, so it's like, Nevi can be Lunala, it could be Solgaleo, and it doesn't, like, conflict with my rule, because it's not on the team like that. Because also, my trainers don't use legendaries. But it's not about a Pokemon being a weak species. I'll clarify on that, because I've been harping a lot on weaker species Pokemon. It's about them being bad or being weird in ways that hinder them. And Ashe is able to utilize those hindrances or help them grow past them to be strong Pokemon rather than being naturally strong. Like, you could do it with a Gible or a Riolu and stuff. You just have to make them suck first. Yeah, don't worry. I was a former Naruto fan until I saw the light. Pichu, Empoleon, Bombsnow, Rapidash, Crobat, and Miss Maggie is a great team. Will Green continue to Johto or past any other regions? I don't know. I mean, Green will make appearances, but will she be a rival like that, where she's gaining badges and doing other stuff? It depends on where her journey goes in Kanto here. And again, I could be wrong on that, Obal, but I think it doesn't, like, Ashe doesn't, like, do well in that regard. I think, like, you know, showing Ashe can make his Pokemon strong through emotions and hugs isn't, like, you know, doing good. You know? Like, it doesn't make Ashe a good trainer, it just means I'm a good therapist. Here's an idea. At the end of Unova, Ashe catches a Venipede, brings it with him to Kalos where it Mega Evolves or on After. Again, that's a great idea. I mean, like, I have something like that. There will be a Pokemon I have Ashe catch in the Chlor Islands to bring to Kalos, funny enough. I did that with, oh, yeah. No, I didn't. I didn't do that in the video. I In my version of Ash's Stone team, I'd have the Crobat be the key example of Ash's opposition to Paul, since Crobat is a Pokemon that involves your friendship. Yeah, that's a great way to do that. You can even reverse it, actually, in a weird way of having Paul. It might be Paul grifting from Silver too much, but of Paul showing off that he's taken something from Ash's training ideas by him having a Golbat and stuff, and then when they fight in the league, it's a Crobat, showing Paul has, like, shown some emotional maturity to his team. Because it's not like Paul is completely right, by the way. I think Paul has great training methods, but I think, and they work for his team, but I think one of his weaknesses is his emotional side, which is weird because I would actually call Paul a very emotional character. Like, he is not stoic. He gets very angry all the time. His biggest like, life-changing event was his brother losing to him, not being able to emotionally handle that. So Paul is a very emotional character, funny enough. It's not about, like, stoicism versus emotion. It's sort of a, like, in my mind, I would make it more about trainings and ideologies. I want to use Oricorio, but with a passion for battling rather than dancing. A more feminine bird Pokemon with personality of a Lucha. That's awesome, Quizno. That's a great way of going about it. Because I could see any of the birds working for that. Or specifically the fire one and the electric one would be fun. Togepi could work really well for the Paul rivalry and have sort of mentorship with Cynthia's Togekiss. Exactly, DJ Hawk. See, you guys are thinking well. Again, when I did all these polls, it wasn't about proving you guys wrong, because a lot of you guys in the comments had the right ideas. It was more about, like, when we're doing this stream, it's about just, like, thinking outside the box, thinking more, you know, tooting my own horn, a little bit more dollywop, where it's like you can do the super obvious stuff, but throwing in that really cool, unique stuff is what's going to make your stories pop to people. It's going to want to draw people in, you know, because I think one thing I see with a lot of rewrites, especially if you do, like, a Kanto rewrite, even if it's not for Ash, for other trainers, you just got the same Pokemon. It's like, okay, we're going to do, like, a Charmander, probably, like, a Pidgey, Pikachu, stuff like that. The standard Pokemon you see. You know, people really love giving Ash or other trainers Pidgey and Pidgeot, you know, for some reason. Which I understand it. It's a nice, easy early catch. I have harped on in the past when people don't do Pidgeots for Ash and they do, like, Spearows or, like, Rattatas, where I'm just like, oh, you're just trying to be different, you know? But, you know, it's not a bad way of going about it and stuff. It's about, you know, doing things that, like, make you as a writer have to think. Because I think it's you can be very mindless about doing the same thing as everyone else, because it comes pretty standard to you, because you've probably seen people do it a million times before, so you almost subconsciously follow the same beats. Poochyena / Mightyena that has a goofy personality that can also be a strong, noble member of the team. Great mentality. One thing I would think about looking at that is maybe making it a female, because in the hyena hierarchy, females are the dominants while males are the submissives. So having sort of not even a team mom, but, like, almost a leader, like, more front runner, Mightyena, that's, like, kind of like, you know, she's, like, the one that steps in to defend the rest. She's kind of the, in a weird way, the kind of thing I've done a little bit with Cubone, where she's the taskmaster. Great way to go about that. Don't have to do that and stuff. But one thing you can actually do with some Pokemon is, if you know their real world parallel, look into that animal. Look into how they work in the wild. And that can give you some ideas of, like, how socially you want to run your Pokemon. We can have a Ralts. Ash get a Ralts will be hunted by other Pokemon. Ash did his thing and helped him find an injured Ralts, and as it evolves and forms a psychic link with him. That's another thing. I've actually debated this, because in my personal stories, I have my trainers, if a psychic type is on the team, like 99% of the psychic types can mentally talk with their trainers. It doesn't mean they can utilize a psychic bond like an Annabelle can or something, or like people who are actually psychic. But I think to do that, it requires a lot of training and effort, because with a trainer that cannot use psychic powers, they can do like, if there's a psychic trainer and a psychic Pokemon, they can easily connect together, because the psychic trainer is putting more of the workload on themselves to mentally communicate with their Pokemon, versus a normal trainer and a psychic Pokemon, where the psychic Pokemon has to spend half their focus on keeping that telepathic bond up. But I still think you can do it. I've debated with Ash having a psychic type that can mentally communicate with him, actually. But still loves the trainer. Yeah, no, definitely. Ash will get a Hisuian Zora, a shiny Hisuian Zora. Good point. Possibly. I give Ash a Grumpig for Owen. That's not a bad one either. I'm personally, like, I don't care for Grumpig that much. He has a weird fandom presence. It's not quite to the level of Spheal, but Spoink and Grumpig, especially for Ash, have like a weird tie on the fandom, which I don't think is bad. Spoink was in a number of Hoenn episodes, but it's interesting. It's interesting to me. Will Ash create his Hoenn outfit, and will he be overconfident in your timeline? And the only reason why I want Ash to punch Drew is because in the beginning he is a jerk. Well, I don't think Ash will point Drew. Drew is a jerk, but he's also a correct jerk. So you can hate him all you want, but he was right about everything about May. And he had a weird, interesting rivalry with May and stuff. He wasn't an overt jerk, but he was like, it's kind of hard to be like, well, he's a jerk, so he needs a punch in the snoz, you know, because it's harder to do that when the guy's right, you know. But I've debated for the other regions. Ash will actually be getting a custom Johto outfit. You know, hold on. How are we at? We're at 56 people. I don't usually do this well on streams. Would you guys like to see the rough mock-up of the Johto outfit? That I got. I can give you the reasonings behind it. It's not really much of a spoiler. It's more of a fun thing for the stream. I like to do these little spoiler things on the stream. Usually I'm not erasing the stream or unlisting the stream afterwards, so people could still go back to it. It's not a spoiler. It's more of just a fun design thing. How wild are you willing to get with choreography? Because I've always had the idea that a Champion Elite 4 with a Psychic type using Debris to hold down a Dark type. Oh, I'll get wild with that. Like if a opponent can't hit an opponent like that, like you gotta do whatever. All right, I'll bring it up. You guys are curious. And I'll explain the reasoning why I designed it the way I did. Because you guys are very loyal fans. You guys have done, we have 56 people in there. You guys have been champions. I haven't gotten shit for posting the episode last week. So, we'll do this. So this is Ash's, rough idea of a Johto outfit. So I'll clarify because it's very, very rough. So the idea is, I don't know what color his jersey will be, but he's wearing a jersey over a sweatshirt. Essentially what it is. Because in my verse, at least, Ash is into sports. He's not like, you know, super adept, but he is a sports fan. And so, the reason why I did something, I don't know what it is, if it's going to be a Snorlax jersey or not. Or like it's going to be like a Magikarp or something. So yeah, so anti-Electabuzz. Yeah, so Ash talked a lot of shit in canon to Casey about the Electabuzzes. I thought one way to set off the rivalry that'd be very funny is that Ash is a fan of a rival team, the Electabuzzes. So he talks a lot of crap while promoting like the Sinnoh Snorlaxes or whatever, you know, like, you know, the Manchester Magikarps. Yeah, Casey's going to be a main rival in Johto. So, this is the sort of thought process behind it. You know, like, I know this is going to be some kind of blue. It might be, it all depends on what the Pokemon is. I have Snorlax written right here. I don't know if it's going to be a Snorlax. Magmar would be a great one. But, but it's going to be something that helps contrast Ash's other looks. Or a Jinx jersey. Or it could be a Jinx jersey. It's not going to be a jersey of a Pokemon that Ash has, I don't think. I mean, it might turn out that way, but it's going to be whatever I come up with for fun sports things. I'm going to talk it over with my buddy Samurai Trainer Z because he's very into sports, and he's going to help me kind of develop a concept. Yeah, that was another reason for the Snorlax thing, because a guy played baseball with a Snorlax in the Sun and Moon, so I thought that'd be a fun reference. The 96 is because that's when Pokemon was invented, not because of the anime. 97 might make more things. The number's subject to change, but it's something along those lines. Will his hat stay the same in Johto? Yeah, it's gonna stay the same for the. I actually don't know if I'll change the hat up. It will make sense. Dunsparce also a good choice. But whatever Pokemon I choose will dictate the look of the jersey. So we'll think. Please tell me that Ash and Sun and Moon will have a different outfit instead of just being the male protector. Yeah, no, don't worry. He will have a majorly different outfit in Sun and Moon. I already know. Because Sun and Moon will be like not the end of his arc, but will be like Ash wrapping up as a character to be the, like, you know, who he's supposed to be at the end of this series. Yeah, and G1, great personality. Bye, Aurora. Don't worry. I think we're wrapping up stream a little soon, so you won't miss much. Good luck with your studying. Oh, don't worry. Pikachu's gonna keep his dickhead energy. I'm gonna keep Pikachu a consistent character. He does grow, but he is gonna be a little bit of a jackass. And that's really because I want to, and that's because partially Ash is a bit of a jackass, but I want to make them not synonymous with each other, where they're not the same person. I will change up the Sinnoh outfit, I believe. Or not the Sinnoh outfit, sorry, the Hoenn outfit. I think every outfit I'm going to adjust, because I'm going to have Ash's outfits reflect who he is in that moment. Like, the story's going to get a bit darker as we go on. So, with Ash, like, experiencing more troubles of the world. And so, like, one thing that I think is consistent is in Sinnoh, he's going to have a white shirt. In Unova, he's going to have a gray shirt. And then, in Kalos, he has a black shirt. So you can see kind of, like, Ash kind of, not going darker, but, like, more and more worse stuff happening over time before he kind of, like, it's a catharsis in Alola. Will Pikachu lose weight in canon? No. We're keeping fat Pikachu all the way through. Fuck skinny Pikachu. You Zempic-looking motherfucker. Fat Pikachu supremacy. Without spoiling, is there any chance we see any old characters, former companions? Oh, 100%. It's a living, breathing world, so you will definitely see other companions and stuff return. Someone else mentioned that with how well female characters were treated in Johto, like with Macy, that could have been a blueprint for female rivals done right, especially during Unova and Galar. Yeah, no, 100%. Viridian Venonats. I love all the names you guys are going for. Maybe if I get too many good options, if I get 4 solid good options, I'll put a poll for you guys. Yeah. And, like, darker, by the way, does not mean, like, Ash is cold-blooded murdering people, or he witnesses a murder in front of him. But it's more like the world has weighed down on him more. And, like, he's a little bit more jaded. You know, he's gone through a lot of shit at this point, and it's not just like, man, that's the other evil team I helped defeat or something, you know, like, that's just another one on the list. It's like, fuck, I've been through a lot. Oh, this is Ash's Johto outfit, or a prototype for the Johto outfit. Subject to change. This was something I roughed up. Double Blastoises. The big men Blastoises. I still gotta make that Blastoise emote. Pallet Town Pikachus. Oh, Trauma Ash. Yeah, it's like, trauma is a hard word for it, you know? It's not gonna be like a solo leveling or SAO or like some like, I'm an angsty protagonist. But it's more like gonna be Ash losing his way, I think. Ash losing his way over time and then learning to be Ash again. The Tauros Troop, also a great name. I have to decide on it. But, why Ash has no feet? Because I'm very lazy, Spinel. And, that's why he has armament hockey arms. Because I'm very lazy. Also, feet just didn't look well with the design for some reason. Every time I drew feet, it didn't look good. Yeah, he's just maturing. Like, well, it's like sort of like, it's a mixture of maturity and it's like, it's weirdly enough, it's maturing, but it's regression as well. Like, Ash will kind of regress over time to be not unrecognizable, but something who, like, losing who he kind of is as a person and having to learn to get that back. And how that, well, Ash isn't like, how do I put this? Because I'm not trying to spoil anything, because you guys all forget about this by the time, you know? Like, the way I think about it is that, like, you go through hard times in life, and, you know, they can change you as a person, and they'll always stick with you. But eventually you kind of learn to regain that part of yourself that you might have lost for a bit, you know? And so it's not about, like, maturity doesn't mean becoming more stoic or becoming a darker individual or becoming more jaded or cynical. It's becoming a little bit more realistic while retaining that joy of who you are. Tumblr Ashkin? No, don't say it like that. Ash will win? Maybe. Who knows? Actually, maybe you should go to the outfit with more color. Like, yes, he faces hard, but he's more positive with and still has hope. Yeah. You know. Yeah, Unova Ash isn't Ball 2.0. I'll say that. Don't worry. It's a gradual thing. It is not an instant thing. You know. You'll see a lot more in Kalos of the, you know, darker aspects. And it's not dark. It's just kind of more jaded and un-Ash-like. You know, and it's all about the character arc. You know, it's kind of similar from Jaden from Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah, it's definitely similar from Jaden from Yu-Gi-Oh! Except actually written well. Emo Ash with absolute trust in manifesting. We'll do, I really gotta fucking pee right now. So we're gonna do, a poll right now. How do I do a poll again? Damn it. Oh, start a poll. So we're gonna do Hoenn. We're gonna do Johto. We're gonna do Sinnoh, and we're gonna do Unova. Which region would you like to? Which region's Pokemon do you want to hear about? So what this poll is before we send off here, I'm gonna let you guys vote for a minute, and I'll talk about one Pokemon I considered for that region, and they might be on the team or they might not. We're not gonna go in depth. It's more of a reveal, you know, but I'll talk about one Pokemon that I considered giving Ash. Oh, that one Axolotl guy, you know. Edgy Ash, start listening to all the stereotypical edgy songs while Pichu dead eyes him with the fuck. Yeah. We're gonna let that go for a minute. This isn't a spoiler, but it's more of a consideration of, like, what I was thinking of. You know, it could be a member on the team or it could not be. Man, you guys really are curious about Hoenn. $34 votes. All right. We'll end it right there because, you know, we're just doing it real fast. So, it's kind of a spoiler, kind of not. Potential member. A potential member of the Hoenn team that would be, you know, could be on the team, could be still. I've been looking over my old teams, And so one Pokemon that could potentially be on the Hoenn team still is Swampert. Now, I've concocted Swampert in a way that does not make it feel like the ace of the team like most starter Pokemon do. It has a certain personality to it, a certain way Ash catches it, that makes it not, the ace member of the team. It has a certain role on the team, what I won't go over, but there is still potential for all you starter fans, for all you Swampert fans. There is potential for Swampert to be on the team. It's not guaranteed. He's not turning evil, don't worry, and stuff. It's more of his mentality towards training that changes. But Swampert is one of those delicate Pokemon where there's certain Pokemon where, like the starters especially, where when you give them to a trainer, they feel like the ace, they feel like the key member. Where if you write them on the team, it feels like the ace. And I'm trying to avoid having aces on this team. Like, there are certain, ace-S Pokemon, like Ninetales on the Kanto team, but with Golduck there, it doesn't really feel like it. It feels like kind of more a well-rounded team. So, Swampert's potentially there. I have him written in a way where it is, but, So Swampert is potential, man. He is Megumi. Supreme King Ash. Yeah, he's going to be summoning evil heroes. Moss Deep Swamperts is actually a really good one. But I'm glad Swampert doesn't feel especially spoilery here because it was on the old team. And also, if I do write it, it's going to be way different than how I did it in the original video. So I'm not too afraid to show that off. But with that, guys, I think that we have reached a nice lull because I'm about to piss my pants. We've been going for 2 hours. I got some stuff to do today. The episode's going great. I'm adding animation to it like I did for Beedrill in the Beedrill episode. Not like a trump card. I can't go too far into it, but more of a certain way. Maybe I'll go into it in another video. But the video is going very well right now. I think you guys will be very excited about it. Hopefully you guys enjoy the 6th Pokemon of Ash. It, might be a little bit of a risk, but, I'm happy to take those risks. So thank you all for watching. This has been a great time. I'll see you guys next Saturday for the episode and the Q&A stream. So talk to you later.